Speaking of surfing your waves, we do have an expert in that field. This guy's right up my alley as a fellow surf park nerd. This session is titled Sincerely Your Customer, a candid, qualitative case study of 18 surf parks with Mike Goldy's the surf park nerd. There he is, my fellow surf park nerd.
Thanks, Andy, for your presentation. I actually already purchased, pre-purchase sessions for your resort and accommodation, so guilty. I am your customer. I'm a paying customer. I'm no one special. I got invited here, so I'm really grateful to be in the presence of all these brilliant minds. I mean, I'm supporting your wave pools. I am the customer, and I'm proud of it. So I can speak freely. I can speak candidly. I'm unbiased. So let me do some little bit of storytelling here. First, you'll notice 20 different waters. These are all the wave pools that I surfed. It's mainly over the last 4 years, but as far back as 2009. So when I submitted this, it was 18, but now it's 20 as of days ago. So pretty stoked. Those two pools that helped me get to 20 were Endless Surf in Surftown, Munich, and then City Surf Park, which features flow surf technology. So it was a great experience, state-of-the-art facilities, and I'll speak more to it later in the presentation. But my main goal is to surf as many wave pools as I can around the world, and while I'm doing that, I want to check off as many different technologies as I can, because I'm paying a lot of my hard-earned money to surf these different wave pools, and each one is very different. No two are alike, so it's been quite interesting to see what my impression is once I walk away from any of these wave pools. Yeah, so there's this, this demonstrates, that was number 19 of 20, and I had a blast. Again, I'm not the best surfer. I come from Baltimore, Maryland, which is 3 hours from the nearest ocean, and just always been dreaming of progressing, and now with these wave pools, I can do that. So, who am I? I mean, most of you probably don't know me. Some of you might through LinkedIn, because I live there. Not famous, not sponsored, not an influencer, certainly not professional, and I don't even work in this space. I work full-time for a critical care nurse nonprofit. And that allows me to it's pretty good work-life balance, so I'm able to explore and go to these different wave pools. So I'm very grateful for my career and where I fit within this space, just as the customer. Just passionate about all things wave pools, wave parks, surf pools, surf parks. I'm not quite sure what the official term is. I did a poll on social media, and there's some varying opinions, but it seems like it's just wave pool in general. But for the sake of Surf Park Central, I better say it's surf park. So, why wave pools? Who cares? Well, for me, it's because I grew up very far from the ocean. I have two older brothers that got into surfing and then pushed me into my first wave when I was 10 years old. And I was obsessing over surfing. And it's it's not practical for me to progress. There's no way I'm ever going to become a professional surfer. And I started to see coverage in Typhoon Lagoon back then. I was like, there's waves on demand. It's in a water park. It looks super fun and super predictable. So I started obsessing over that, and I finally got to go. I got invited with a group in 2009, and it certainly lived up to the expectations. So technically, Typhoon Lagoon is my local wave pool break now that I live in Florida. What these wave pool sessions mean to me is, I don't have a lot of confidence. I want to be like the guys in the magazines, but I can't progress. I have to go surfing on the weekends for a day trip or during summer break in between school. So the reality is, these mean a lot to me, like being able to go to a wave pool, know I'm going to get a certain amount of waves, not have to fight for it in an aggressive lineup, and just build my confidence up over time. So, and then beyond that, I always meet like-minded people in these wave pools. Everyone's very welcoming. I haven't come across anyone very aggro, so it's a whole different culture than out in the lineup. So I grew up in Maryland until I went to undergrad. Then I moved to California with the dream of working for a surf company, which I quickly learned is not exactly the best fit for me. But that's, it's pretty crowded in the lineups. And then I moved to the East Coast, to Florida, and it's pretty aggressive out there. So again, just a great safe space for me to progress at my own pace with perfect on-demand waves. Am I obsessed? I mean, it's fair to say yes. I won't go into this in too much detail, but I've written articles for print magazines, joined some podcasts, had the pleasure of meeting Brian of Wavepool Mag and gotten featured on there, and even wrote some pieces for him. And I mean, I obsess to the point where I'm trying to break down, like reverse engineer wave pools from my perspective, or imagining the wave pool in my neighborhood and this giant lake I pass when I'm running every day. So it's a problem. What wave pools have I tried? What is my wave pool resume? So 20, first one ever, Typhoon Lagoon. Granted, this is a more recent picture because I still go probably once, twice a year. Number 2 was Inland, when I relocated from California back to the East Coast of Florida. And I was like, wait, there's a wave pool? Like, wasn't as obsessed back then, but was able to pull off a couple sessions there back in 2018 before they closed. Waco, actually was there in 2020 before it was rebranded and different management, so BSR at the time. Scoot and Surf and American Dream Mall. I did like a 16-hour road trip from Florida with my older brother just to surf that wave pool and then drive back a couple days later. Adventure Parks in Adonia, I'm very grateful to have experienced that because it's absolutely beautiful in Wales. It's a great environment. Unfortunately, they're no longer around, but got to check that wave pool off. That was number 5. Number 6 was the Wave in Bristol. Great time. Got to surf 3 sessions in one day. Surf Ranch, I'm broke because of that. So I know this might be a little controversial, but I did throw in a flow rider there, a sheet wave, because I just wanted to mix it up. And I've done flow riders before this whole journey, but I'm only going to count one for the sake of my wave pool collection here. Oana, that's my very first deep water standing wave, and it was an amazing experience. I was actually, I consider myself a purist before that. I was like, I only want traveling waves. I want like a real wave pool, and I didn't understand. And then I went and had an absolutely, like, it just, I left with a whole different impression with standing waves and adore them now. So I certainly added those to my list moving forward. Elia Bay in Switzerland was number 10. Epic Surf up in New York was number 11. Oasis Surf in Canada. Southern Shores, I got to experience my first unit wave. The lineup in Hawaii. My fiance, actually, her family lives 10 minutes from there, so now I get to go quite often when we visit. Surf Stadium in Japan, that was a pretty big undertaking just because of the language barrier to get there and get that situated. Kobe Reyes, which is a really novel wave pool up in the mountains in the middle of Japan. City Wave Tokyo. Number 18 was another kind of novel one in West Edmonton Mall in Canada. They have a little surf club there that organizes that, and they invited me to come up there, so I got to try some sessions. Most recently, this past week, was Surf Town, so very grateful to experience that. My first endless surf wave technology, and again, a very first flow surf standing wave technology. So there's 20 right there. Yeah, it's been a great adventure. So what you also notice in the background, these slides are, again, the wave pools I surf. So if you're bored, just take a guess at which wave pool each of these are. So if I were like in the WSL, and here's my stats, facts, and figures, as not even semi-professional, but like a no-name customer, I have surfed 20 human-made waves across 20 different cities, across 8 different countries. They featured 14 different wave-making technologies. Within that breakdown, there's 12 traveling waves, 7 deep water stationary, and then that 1 sheet wave. Total sessions surfed across all those was 82. And that amounted to almost 100 hours in the pool. So did the math. I have an actual spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet of all my wave pools. So I am truly a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Just a couple additional fun stats. My very first wave pool was Typhoon Lagoon. The furthest in terms of miles from Florida was Kobe Reyes. The most I surfed was Waco. It was BSR back then. And that was because I bought this like 15 pack before COVID. COVID hit. I thought I was going to move there for a month and go surfing every weekend from Austin to Waco. Couldn't get my money back, so it ended up becoming a strike mission just to surf 15 sessions. I did 3 a day for 5 days, and I was like zonked, but it was a great experience. Like, definitely progressed in those sessions. Because of time, I won't go through all these in detail, but the coldest was certainly Elia Bay. The water was 6 degrees Celsius, so that's like, I think 42 or 43 degrees Fahrenheit. All that thick rubber in the hood, and it was an intense experience. And then the opposite of that, the lineup is like super warm and humid. So all these, the point being, all these wave pools are so different, even though they feature the same wave technology. So out of 20, every single one is individual. All right, what's top of mind for me? So what you're going to see, an example to the right, everyone relates to. Apparently, like a lot of people related to or understood the message. So, yep. So cost. I mean, as a paying customer, I can speak freely. Like, that's the number one factor for me. How many sessions can I get with my hard-earned money? Because I'm not independently wealthy, so everything that I have to save for these experiences, for the sessions, let alone traveling to get there, and accommodation and food and beverage. So cost is number one factor for me as a customer. Guidance. So I'm paying a lot of money. I want to be sure I'm going to catch the waves and not miss them. The experiences varied greatly between 20 different wave pools on how much they instruct you, if they provide physical guidance or they explain it. One of my more recent experiences at Surftown, they did a very good job. You were required to check in 15 minutes before the session. They had signage where they would point out where to be, the rules of the pool, and everyone had to do it. No one was the exception. So it was a matter of safety, and for me, I appreciated that. I don't want to be in a lineup with someone who's going to run into me if they wipe out. So, but on the other hand, I had, unfortunately, because of language barriers, I had no idea what was going on. So in particular, Japan was a challenge for me in the lineup, because the instructors that were in the wave pool were like speaking in Japanese, and I had no idea. And sometimes they would think, y'all, they're good. Like, I'm not going to let them know the wave's coming. So I would miss waves at a perfect swell pool because I had no idea it was coming out of nowhere. So that's a frustration for me as a customer. I want to make sure I'm going to catch every wave that I'm paying for in that session. Equipment is another one for me, because with all the traveling and there's not as many wave pools out there yet, you have to travel. You have to trek pretty far. I don't want to lug boards around for 2 weeks in Switzerland, so I tend to rent. And when I rent, I have to pay for the equipment. And it better be good equipment, or else there's going to be issues with my session. I'm going to miss waves, or I'm going to show up late to the session trying to get the equipment situation figured out. So it's very important to me. Accessibility. Does anyone know where this is, the Dinky local store? I know a couple people here know. Anyone? Nope. So no one from the Wave is here, apparently. Yeah? You don't know the Dinky local store? Okay, well, that's the store I pass every time. I walked 50 minutes from my closest Airbnb I could find to the Wave, because I couldn't rent a car. There's no public transportation. That was the best case scenario for me. So 4 times in one day, I walked to and from to get to the Wave. Amazing experience, but it was a bit of a challenge, and I was tired. I got up at 5 in the morning. I had a 7 o'clock session. I had to check in at 6. That meant I left at 5. And I just thought it was funny walking by the store, like, oh, wow, I'm in the middle of nowhere to surf this wave pool. Very charming, though. Friendliness. I mean, again, very important to me. I do sense a vibe when I go to these wave pools. Some more welcoming, some less welcoming, like, who are you? Just go surf your session, get out of here. I'm thinking again, like, geez, I paid a lot of money to be here. I feel pretty self-conscious. Why am I here if no one wants me to be here? For the most part, they're welcoming, these wave pools or surf parks. But again, out of 20, I've definitely experienced some where like, yeah, I'm not coming back. So like, they lost my business. Food and beverage. Again, because this has been spread out over 4 years, there's some surf parks, for example, Waco Surf, at the time did not have food and beverage on site. So I had to drive 20 minutes in between my sessions just to get something to eat in the city of Waco. I know it has improved, but it's nice not to have to trek far in between and get stressed out. Like, am I going to make it back? Am I going to digest all this food I just ate? So I'm pretty impressed with all the more recent surf parks that I visited in terms of their food and beverage offering. Just being able to get a coffee in the morning, relax, get some food in between, and then a beer at the end. And then ancillary activities, why not keep me on site? I'd love to take advantage of the zip line, the pump track, just even a nice casual walk around the wave where I got to read all the signage and learn about how it's set up environmentally. So those things are important to us customers, believe it or not, even though they might kind of be tertiary thoughts. I understand the wave is the primary experience, but I definitely take advantage of any other offerings when I'm there, and I traveled really far to get there. And then photo and video. I know Jess touched on that in the survey results. I mean, let's just be real. We live in the era of social media. It's all about vanity. Like, I love getting photos and videos of myself. You could argue it's for training, but yeah, it's training. So I make a point to get photo and video everywhere. And I will say the Wave, out of all these surf parks, the Wave is the only one I can recall that had a dedicated on-site photo and video program. And that meant the world to me that I didn't have to stress about that. I was able to purchase photos for my sessions, and then I was also able to get some video of a couple of them. I understand there's, now we have AI-driven photo or video to capture you through flow state, which is a godsend. Back then, that didn't exist when I went to the Wave in 2022. I have been lucky in terms of finding local photographers and videographers, which is, it's great for me to support the local economy, and I do that. But it would be less stressful to already have someone on site or a program and, get high quality, high resolution photo and video, because everyone's going to post it. And that's free advertising for your wave pool. So I don't really understand why you wouldn't do that, other than maybe staffing is an issue and finding local talent and employing them and keeping them on board. I just did this quick SWOT analysis from a customer standpoint, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats from what I can see, from where I'm standing, paying my hard-earned money to surf the wave pools. Also did like a mood board. So, I mean, I can't, it's not all-inclusive, but I tried to include some things that really stuck out to me as a customer that made my visit pleasurable. And then some negatives, which I'm very vocal about through LinkedIn. So yeah, if I'm paying my hard-earned money to go surf these wave pools, talking 200 plus a session, I'm going to be quite irritated if the rental equipment that I paid for, in addition to the session, has holes in it. And especially not one wetsuit, but then go put another on, there's a hole in it. All right, put a third one on, I missed a quarter of the session. I did the math, that was $49 of my hard-earned money that I did not get back. The solution at the time was you can email us. I'm not going back to a certain wave pool because of this experience. 2 minutes. I did a couple case studies. Again, please take a picture because I'm running out of time. But one of my more memorable experiences, especially because it was my first standing wave, was Oana in Switzerland. I was like, I'm already here. I'm going to surf the actual traveling wave pool. I may as well check this off. And I left like a fan of these deep water stationary waves. It was an absolute blast. Everyone was welcoming. The culture is different. Very grateful to experience that and move forward, including these type of waves. And then Surftown, of course, state-of-the-art, unmatched in terms of different variety of waves. Very grateful to have checked that off, and that little barrel in the end there, that's what it's all about. It's me. My takeaways, really, top things that stuck out to me, it's just the cost, it's the customer experience, the demeanor of the staff. I am a paying customer. Please treat me like you want me to be there. And in a poll, this is kind of just for fun. How much has Mike spent total in US dollars on surf park sessions? This is only sessions, not including travel. 1,000 plus, 2,000 or 5,000 plus, 10,000 plus, or 15,000. Any guesses? We know it's expensive. Okay. Please connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn primarily. Started Instagram just for fun. I'm available anytime to test your wave pool technology or your surf park. and help analyze based off my experiences. Please do not make me do this. Is Tom Lochtefelt in here? No, I should have changed the slide then. What is Tom going to attend my session? Apparently not, because he did accept my LinkedIn. So please just connect with me. Let's talk all things wave pools. And I just want to leave you with this. Please consider how your paying guests feel before, during, and after. Please, before, leading up to, they have questions, answer them promptly. During, anything you can do to make my visit worth it and make me feel like I spent my hard-earned money and it paid off. And after. It's just as important. So thank you. Thanks.
That was awesome, Mike.